Hello, and welcome to L YouTube, a bi-state establishment.
What does that mean?
Well, you can watch from the great state of ad-supported or the great state of ad-free for a few bucks more.
Okay, I'll go ad-free.
Fantastic. Now then, are you looking to shave your balls?
No.
Well, good news, because this video is sponsored by Dude Shear.
Hold on, I thought you said no ads.
Screw you.
Oh, forget it. Ugh. With ads in the way, how am I ever going to learn how to build a professional level website? Welcome back to Movie Punch, where we punch movies so you don't have to. Today is another episode of Rebel Diamonds, where we seek out the movies that don't always get the spotlight they deserve. And today we're looking at Bad Times at the El Royale, written and directed by Drew Goddard. I remember the release of this movie kind of baffled me. It's got a great cast with multiple big names that people would recognise. It's got a cool concept. It was released by a major studio. And yet I had to drive 40 minutes to another town to see it because my local cinema wasn't even showing it. But maybe that's for the best. The screening I went to had 6 people in it, and at least 4 of them had been dragged there by someone else. The movie bombed, and while the critical consensus at the time was fairly positive, I feel like this movie's got nowhere close to a cult status, so it's probably just going to get forgotten about. Not on my watch. Let's punch it. Hey, what are you up to? You're supposed to be producing. Meditating? Wendy, since when do you meditate? Rico suggested it to the group. Right. We're going to circle back to that. This movie has a classic setup. A bunch of characters turn up to a hotel. They've all got secrets, and slowly but surely we're going to find out what they are as things start to escalate. I think this movie does 2 things really well. The first is the sense of uneasy feel as the characters begin to interact. You know that things are going to get complicated, but there's this threat of violence that just hangs over those early scenes and keeps it gripped. By the time Chris Hemsworth turns up, it's tense. The second is the mystery itself and how we slowly start to learn things character by character. I love the way the reveals come steadily. And by the time you've discovered just exactly what is going on, you've learned to appreciate these characters, and you need to see who gets out of this alive. If I have one criticism, it's that while the opening scene of someone hiding something underneath the floorboards is really cool, there's a later scene where a character sees Jeff Bridges ripping up the floorboards, and they don't have that initial information that we do. I think it would have been cool to experience that moment as just... Oh, really? Well, sounds like this Rika guy has some interesting ideas. Sorry, where was I? Let's talk character. I think this movie does a really great job of introducing characters in a way where we either dislike them or just don't trust them. And yet, by the end of the movie, we feel for almost all of them. It's this collision of tragic people doing everything they can to try and grasp some light out of a desperate situation. Cynthia Erivo is a standout here. Going in, I wasn't familiar with her, and her performance is impressive, absolutely nailing the singing, while also holding her own against other great actors. Jeff Bridges is always excellent, and it's fascinating watching his scenes on a rewatch when you know what his character is going through. Chris Hemsworth is also brilliant here, using his natural charisma and channeling it into this dark-hearted character. When he turns up, the movie ratchets up to 10 and stays that way right up until the finale. I know a lot of people don't care for Dakota Johnson, but I think she's solid here. She delivers on what the character needs to do. There's not a single bad performance here. John Hamm, Lewis Pullman, Kaylee Spaney, all doing great work. There's just something so enjoyable about a good ensemble where you're happy to spend time with any and all of the characters. I mean, spend time with them on screen. I have no desire to spend any actual time with violent murderers or cult members. What's that? Rico's coming to visit. Oh, that's nice he took the time. But when it came down to it, there was only one real option here. I had to give MVP to Dakota Johnson. She's just so talented, overflowing with charisma, you know? And pretty. So pretty. Hey, welcome back. When I first heard that Wendy had fallen in with a new crowd, I was skeptical, but honestly, everyone sounds really nice. I don't think we've got anything to worry about. Let's keep going. Now, I've been pretty glowing with my review so far because I do really love this movie, but I know that not everyone feels that way. I've heard it described as a Hitchcock knockoff or a Tarantino knockoff, or that it's just overlong and the pacing doesn't quite work. But for me, I like a movie to take its time and assume that the audience has a decent attention span. And any movie channeling Tarantino or Hitchcock is going to be a fun ride. But the success of this movie was never going to come down to that because no one went and saw it. I was annoyed that my local cinema didn't show it, but maybe they were right not to. Because if the box office is anything to go by, at cinemas where it was available, people didn't go. But I think what it comes down to is that general audiences aren't interested in movies like this anymore. In order to go see something like this, you need to look at a movie with an interesting title and a recognizable cast and just take a risk. And nobody wants to do that anymore. It's got to be a franchise or something instantly recognizable. I think the sad reality is that this is a sort of movie that a person might take a chance on if they came across it on streaming, but they won't go to the cinema for it, which means less and less of these types of movies get made, because if it's going straight to streaming, it's probably not going to get the budget it needs to turn out as good as it could be. Now, I'm not saying that this movie flopping is the death of original movies and that anyone that didn't go and see it is part of the problem, but I am thinking it. I'll be right back. Wendy says that Rika wants to have a chat about how we reach enlightenment. Very exciting. Classic Rico. I went back and forth a bit over who to give MVP to here because I think all of the performances complement each other nicely. And while the writing and direction is really good, I think there's one thing that stands out and elevates this movie substantially. Production design. Despite being built on a soundstage, this hotel feels like a real location and really captures the essence of a certain time period. History is rife with examples of locations being prime real estate, so huge amounts of money are thrown at them to create brilliant bars, hotels, resorts, only for the winds of fate to change and plunge these extravagant locations into ruin. This just looks like a location I'd love to visit and explore. Doubly so when you consider all of its secrets that get revealed in the movie. I think if this was a real place, it would ironically be a tourist destination of its own. I think production design is something that's often taken for granted. The studios have such talented, experienced people working on these movies. But I feel like the work that Martin Wist and his team did here was exceptional and deserved a mention. Is that the doorbell? That's odd. You weren't expecting anyone. We don't have a doorbell. Just a second, guys. Got to wrap this up. Sorry, everyone's turned up for a big party and we're going to do a toast. But Rico says it's really important that we all drink at the same time. Now, while it does make me sad that this movie bombed and generally the state of movies these days, I'm still glad that we get a few gems like this every year. Sure, they're smaller budget now because that's the only way they get made, but I'm happy that we live in a world where talented filmmakers can still make great genre movies. So yeah, it's obviously a huge recommendation from me. I think this movie's great. You should definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, leave me a comment, let me know. Am I overhyping it? Or did you like it just as much as I did? Okay, guys, everyone ready? Yeah? 3, 2, 1. Guys, this doesn't have Pepsi in, does it? Because... Oh no. Oh, I knew this was too good to be true. Everyone's taking their clothes off.